Hey everybody, welcome to the Well World TV show. I'm Debra K, the founder of Well World TV, and we have an exciting topic today because today is all about how to elevate your business through public relations, and I have an incredible expert I'm going to bring in just a second. But first, I want to acknowledge the sponsor for this series. So it's Young Living and their line of Thieves products. I don't know if you're familiar with these, but these are 100% natural, essential oil-based cleaning products for your home. And in this era of disinfection where we don't want to contaminate our body with chemicals, this is a great solution. I will put a link in the comments so you can get your starter kit specifically curated by Well World TV. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my guests. This is Tracy Tilson. Hi, Tracy. How are you today?
Hi, Debra. Thank you. Yes, great to be here.
Yeah, so Tracy is a consummate expert in public relations. She has her own firm, TilsonPR, which is based in Boca Raton, Florida. And she really is on top of what current and modern PR techniques are, because as we all know, media and the way things work has shifted a lot over the last 5 to 10 years, wouldn't you say? And so the way we do public relations and marketing today is very different than the way we've done it in the past. And today we're going to focus on the small business owner, that passion and purpose-driven person who has a practice or a clinic or a small business, and they really want to figure out how to use public relations to elevate. So thank you, Tracy, for coming in today. And I'm going to start with a basic question. What is public relations?
Yes. You know what's so funny is I even have members of my family who still don't know quite what we do. Right? For all these years. But so we're not advertising. We don't do paid advertising, which is if you get like the Boca magazine or the Sun Sentinel or a newspaper where you see an actual ad. We don't do that. Most everything we do is we call earned, what means we'll go out to editors and producers and people to actually tell our clients stories so that they'll write about them. And our job is to make them interesting and to make sure we are telling the storytelling for our clients or our organizations. And that's what PR is so much about, is relationships. It's taking relationships and actually making mutually beneficial relationships where you're telling something, a story, a new product, a launch, or whatever it might be, to the publics or to the people that really matter and who you want to know about your story. So we're just like the kind of like the lifeline from an organization, company, to the people who need to hear about it because they want to either buy it, they want to use it, they want to know about it. So it can be very complicated, but it can be very simple if you just drill it down to the word relationships.
That's great. Mm-hmm. And I've definitely, when I first started down my media path and had never produced a TV show or anything like that, I used public relations more than I used anything, because it's almost as if once you have an accomplishment of some sort that's covered, you can almost leverage that to get your next one. And then you can leverage that to get your next one. And so I was working one-on-one with a PR professional, and I was like a huge proponent of it because I couldn't afford to market. I didn't have a budget to spend on television commercials or radio commercials. So when you find that right partnership with a PR person or a PR firm, you can really use this to drive your business for sure.
Well, it's all about credibility, and that's what PR. I mean, if you see an article, let's say example, you read about a new product and you read about it in the New York Times or so, you're going to pay attention, or you hear about a new restaurant, it's covered by your local newspaper or your favorite influencer. Those are the kind of things you're going to pay attention to, and those have changed. That's when you're getting back to what's changed. So much has changed in our world with how important the role of influencers are now. So in our mix, when we're going to clients, it usually has a few different elements. It has straight up traditional, where we take a press release or a media alert and pitch that out on whatever we're talking about. Again, whether it be a new product, a new company, a new service, just news in general. But then we also look at who else can help amplify this. And influencers, because you can get them in different categories, like we have our foodie influencers, and they are influential. They're the ones, they've got their followers, and people pay attention to that. So we've got that little vertical. We also work with radio. So one of the things that we've discovered is that, and our team has gotten very, very good at it, is we actually go out to promotion directors and actually put clients on for week-long promotions just by using like their gift cards. And it's worked out really, really well. So it's one of those things. So now we're working in broadcast, and we also get clients. So for example, if we're working with a restaurant, a great thing for a restaurant or anything food related is to go to a local affiliate, an NBC station or CBS or ABC in their market, and pitch the producers who do those in-studio segments, because they're always looking for some community topics and things that they can actually work on. So we do a lot with those producers across the country. Most of our clients are national, so we'll be doing this in multiple markets across the country as we do this. But television is just huge, and people love to be on. You know, there's a little bit of a fear factor before you do it, but those kind of shows are so powerful. And to your point, then you can use that material, the segment, the content, and use it on your site, you know, use it for marketing. Just saying that you are the local NBC affiliate as seen on kind of a thing is really important. So the biggest thing, and then again, just straight up traditional, like that's just like writing a press release and pitching it out to local press, whether it be newspapers, magazines, or national publications as well. We do a lot with national media too.
So would you say, you know, taking the time to, you know, download a template for a small business who's not working with an agency, fill out a press release, try to find the producer that's either at the TV station, you know, their local TV station. Is that still a value for a small business?
Absolutely. And everyone should try that, because it's one of those things where just make sure that when it's written, what you have to do is realize that people's attention span now is you've got about 10 seconds to really get someone's attention, whether that be a producer or a reporter. So it's really important that if you're emailing, you know, your subject line is catchy, that's going to grab their attention, that's something that they want to care about. And remember, they're interested in their viewers or their readers. So you have to look from their perspective, right? So if you're pitching your new product or your company, just make sure it's really relevant. First of all, you've got the right person. That's the number one thing that reporters hate is, let's say you go out with a press release you do on your new product in your company, and you send it to sports versus when it's a wellness or a product. You're going to turn them right off. So make sure you find out exactly who the right reporter is at that organization and you tailor it to that reporter. But getting back to the writing, just make sure that it's really relevant. It's good writing. The first paragraph is the most critical, because a lot of times you can go beyond that. So you've got to,
like a billboard. If you're driving past a billboard, you have 10 seconds to make an impression. So pretend like you're building a billboard and you want the car to stop and go, whoa.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, think about how many emails you get, Deborah, how many things you get, and what do you pay attention to? If it's something that is really meaningful to you, I get a zillion, and so many of them I don't even, you know, you quickly just like pass them along. So you really have, you've got a moment in time when you want to tell your story, and just make it count. And that's what's really important. I think, you know, that again, it's a whole mix of different things that you should be doing. There's also your local chamber of commerce. If you're involved with the Chamber of Commerce, they usually have a monthly newsletter that you can try to submit to, same kind of a thing. If you want to give some news on your company or something that's going on, talk to the Chamber of Commerce. Typically, it's the PR person within the chamber. If you're a member, you have to obviously join to be a member of the chamber, but there's some really strong chambers, like Boca Raton Chamber is amazing, and really just, you know, trying to utilize the resources that you've got. So I think that's really important. Yeah,
and I think to your point, you know, regarding it has to be of interest to the audience, not so much to you, because a lot of times we think what we have to say is really, really interesting, but it may not be kind of a hot, trendy, sort of interesting topic for the public. So one of the things I've gotten better at with this is I will actually research my topic a little bit. So if you go to Google and let's say you're writing on Ayurvedic medicine for gut health, well, that's pretty narrow. What's a better one? Migraine. Okay, let's say I'm searching migraine care. I can go to Google and type in a couple searches, and then Google will actually recommend for me similar searches that have volume. So then I can start to see, around migraine care, how are people actually searching and finding that content? And it's really changed the way that I title things and how I put information into the content, because it's all about, you can have articles, you can have a blog for 10 years and nobody come to it, or you can do one article that's on point and strategic and get 10,000 views on it, which is much more significant. So it's good to hear that a press release is still valuable, because I think that really is something that everybody can do.
So we do press releases, but honestly too, Deborah, they've gotten, we do a lot more pitches. Like we'll do a press release, but from that press release, we'll take news, so that, again, getting back to tailoring it for every reporter, it's going to be a little bit of a different focus, maybe a little bit more personalized. So really, so for example, for the person on the migraine, maybe you found you found the medical report at the New York Times did something about 2 months ago on that. Well, that's what your subject line should be on your story for migraines. Saw you wrote whatever that is, whatever the title when they wrote before, go right to them with something that you can relate to get some kind of connection with the reporter. It's so important, because, or sometimes if you just, we do a lot of calling producers or reporters to tell a story. And if they say, listen, yeah, send me something, just send me an email, whatever. The first thing on the subject line should be just spoke. So that already they're seeing that there was some kind of interaction. So it gets back to what I said originally, is relationships.
Yes. Connect. Once you have that relationship with a media personality, it's easier to go back to them. So, hey, so happy I was able to be featured on your 12 o'clock news show. I've got another idea where I want to come in and talk about natural hand sanitizers during this challenging time. And if it's timely and relevant, then your ease into that is going to be a lot easier. Well, let me ask you this. So because not every company or person is ready for PR. And that's really what I try to communicate to people, is you have to have a certain level of professionalism, because the media, if they're doing their job, they're going to investigate you a little bit to make sure that you come across as a credible resource. What are some of the basic things that you think somebody who wants to be represented in the media needs to have in place to be successful?
So we start off sometimes with people who are just doing a product launch or just starting a startup. So if a startup typically doesn't have that. So what happens if it's a startup, it's got to be an interesting story. So a lot of times, if we're doing a startup, that's what part of our job is, to find the unique elements that we can talk to a reporter about. So this is a startup and they're doing X. We're working on one right now. What is the differentiators? Why are they different than competitors? What are they doing? So some hook. We're looking for, again, the angle, the angle we can pitch. So I think if you've got a good story, if you've got a good background, if you've got some credibility from another industry, and that makes you interesting, you want to bring all that out. So when we're pitching a reporter on a new company that really doesn't have the history, all those elements of what they bring to the table, what makes them different, what their plans are, what the business model might be different, why that will work. Maybe it's just a product that no one's ever thought of. We're working on something now that's really unique, and because it's so crazy different, it's newsworthy already, even though it's a new company, it's something fresh. Other thing is for companies that have been here for a while. Again, it's finding something that's a little bit, for us, it's all about the news. Media wants to know what's new, what's fresh, what's different. You hear those things about yesterday's news. Well, it's really true is a little bit in PR. You have to make sure that you're fresh and current and giving them information that they don't know, or that their readers or viewers will want to know about. So that's really key. That's really, really important. And the other thing too is make sure your website is up to date. Make sure things, so that if a media does come to check you out or come to find out more, make sure all those things, especially if you're doing like e-commerce, make sure your site is perfect and working, because they will try those things and they'll make sure it works and make sure it's easy for their readers or whoever's going to be reading their story to understand. So I think you don't have to have a ton of, if it's a startup or a small business, as long as, again, you've got something interesting to talk about. You've got, again, new product, new way of doing something you're doing different. All those fresh things are all PR hooks and are definitely worthy.
Yeah, and what I try to tell people is you don't have to be. Don't wait till you're perfect, or you'll never get started. Because
Yeah.
sometimes we try to wait. Oh, my website needs to be updated again, or my social media platforms need to be updated. So what I would say to complement what you said is, if you have a presence online, yes, you want it to look professional. You want it to represent who you are and support your story that you're pitching and clean it up. You know, you don't want somebody to go there and links are broken, or, you know, I've gone to a website's homepage and, you know, there's like all this weird font at the top where something obviously has gone haywire. So, you know, make sure everything at least functions and has, you know, represents you, not to your detriment. Because I think if a media person goes there and everything's malfunctioning, they're not going to think maybe you're credible.
Well, that's true. That's true. And the other thing you could do, Deborah, which is really helpful, if you're a small business and you've got a certain category that you're in, your company is in, make a list of maybe 10 to 12 or 15 reporters or media that you really want to be profiled or seen in, or be somehow, maybe not right away. Sometimes this takes a while, but make a hit list, so to speak, of important media to you that would be important for your product, for those viewers or readers to know about you. And then start to work. And then as you get more credibility, even saying to reporters, like we do this for clients where we say, listen, if you're looking for an expert on whatever the topic is, or you're doing a roundup story is when a reporter, usually a national reporter, will talk about 4 or 5 different companies. Just to be included in that, if it's a USA Today or something like that, it's huge. So, but if they know about you, and then sometimes it's introducing, here's who I am, here's what I do. If you're ever looking for any kind of thought leadership or some comments, I'd be happy to do that. And here's my credibility, and here's what I do. And just be bold. You know, be bold. I think there's so much that, as long as it's done right, if it's done authentically, if it's done in a way where you really are trying to bring value on your story to them, that's so critical. And again, it's not one and done. You've got to know that this is a long-term, it's a relationship, getting back to that word. So you just have to figure out a strategy to do that. And it's not complicated. It's more like, here's where I need to be. Here's how I'm going to get there. I'm going to do an introduction. I'm going to tell them who I am. And then I'm going to like maybe set up a thing, maybe monthly or quarterly. I'm going to send some different information or a topic or a trend that I found. So I think that that's really key, is just really kind of getting a little bit of if you don't have a PR firm doing it for you, come up with your own PR strategy. Can you speak somewhere? Are there speaking engagement possibilities in your community? What would be really important? Again, the chamber is a great place. A lot of times they'll have different small business owners come in on whatever their specialty is. You can check with the PR person there. If it's not there, say, listen, I'd love to do that. Let's create it. Let's do it. So come up with ideas too, you know, and there's other organizations, whatever your trade organization is, that's really important too. If you're part of a national or a local trade organization, what opportunities are there for you to get involved with that trade organization to write things, you know? So there's nuggets everywhere. It's a matter of really trying to discipline yourself to find them, and more importantly, follow through.
Yes. And you're right about the organizations. When I had a corporate career, and I left that because I really wanted to be in the wellness industry. So I launched initially into spa and massage. And so I immediately tracked down some of the associations within the spa world and found the International Spa Association. And so I applied and started serving on their task force. So that immediately just, you know, it got me in the gate a little bit. Nobody knew me from anybody. And so all of a sudden I was serving on a task force. And then before you know it, I knew the editor to Pulse magazine. And then I had articles that were published in Pulse magazine. So it's very possible, even if you feel like you're an unknown, so to speak, to start to foster those connections and relationships. And to this day, 15 years later, I could call them at their corporate office and talk to anybody I want to there. You know, that's just been 12 to 15 years of, you know, working a relationship and speaking at their events and doing different things like that. So the world, anything is possible. You just have to, you know, have that confidence to just put yourself out there and get started. Well, you brought up an interesting topic, and that's the topic of really becoming an influencer or a social influencer? What is your perception on what that is, but also how do you begin to build influence?
So we work with influencers on a daily basis for all our clients. And what we look for in an influencer is someone who's obviously got following. That's important for us. And
flat out, you're going to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube.
Well, our clients want that. Yes, that's what our clients are looking for. How many followers do they have? But there's also the thing, if someone's in a really interesting niche, where sometimes it's quality over quantity too, right? Yeah. So if you're really focused on something that maybe is not just, restaurants and food or retail, but really specific, that could be huge too, and become big. So as far as becoming an influencer, I think that comes back from, because we deal with them on this side of it, to becoming one is just, I think that's just going to be, that's a haul where you've just got to be going out there and making sure yourself get yourself known, get your followers, do whatever you can do. I know for us, we actually do for influencers, we give them, they do giveaways. We give products sometimes for our clients so that they're able to get their followers all excited. I mean, really cater to your audience. It's the same thing as with media. If you're trying to build, as an influencer, you've got to cater to who you want to follow, and how are you going to get them there? You've got to give interesting content. You've got to be interesting yourself. You've got to be fresh. The ones that we work with, the influencers from all over this country, are doing things that aren't like, they're just normal things, but they're doing them in a great way with great photography. Whole thing very, very important for us from a PR perspective is that when we go to a client, we have to say their visuals are amazing. They just, they're able to take them in a creative, fresh way. That's important. They're also very receptive, and they're on it. They're organized and professional. They are their own little, obviously, business. So everything, like we'll go to an influencer, say, here's the amount of posts and here's what you're doing for us for whatever the arrangement is. And these guys are organized. They are on it, and they're really succinct. And I think that's really important. How it used to be like 10 years ago or 15, when it first started, it was very casual. It's become it's big business. It's big business now, influencers. Right. And they accordingly, I mean, the more professional you are, the more professional you'll be able to get the brands and the following, because people want that, and almost demanded a bit, I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Well, what I picked up succinctly in everything you said is, so if you're representing yourself authentically and using storytelling as a key component to how you're representing yourself, there's a certain level of strategy that has to come in around, who's my audience? How do I reach the right message? Is my content in the right way? And then what you said, quality. So doing low grade, bad light, quality isn't going to really take you to that next level. And then consistency. So if you can nail all of those things consistently, then you're going to see your level of influence increase. And to what we were talking about earlier, you take your first small win and you leverage that for your next win, and then you leverage that for your next win until you land the home run.
It's so true. It's so true, Debra. And that's it. And again, it's not, everything builds, and it's not just, it takes time. And that's what people have to realize. I think so many of these things, like even like podcasts are a new thing that we're getting involved and getting clients on. And even with podcasts, I was reading an interesting story about it. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people started podcasts. And then after 3, then they're all gone. Then they go away.
Right. There's 3 left. We were authentic, strategic, produce quality, and we're consistent.
It's like, that's a key to life, right?
Exactly. If we can master that, we'd succeed in our relationship, businesses.
It's everything in life. But it's just that is the key, though. But I think podcasts are another area that's really exciting. That is kind of an area that I think there's a ton of growth in, because people are listening to them, and you've got a lot of a different demographic too, a lot of younger of 25, the whatever age you're targeting for your business. There's certain things, and podcasts are one of them. I think are really, really, really great.
Yeah. Well, let's bridge to that. So, what are in your world and seeing placements, and you're working in every industry. So, podcasting is just one of those. But what are some of the most tactical directions that people can head to really start to gain that sense of being a media expert?
So I think the best thing you can do, from a PR perspective, as far as getting for their company attention for them or their company, is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like you said, podcasting and obviously, YouTube. So people, we don't want to chase too many squirrels. So if you're a small business owner, what are probably the best paths for them to choose to put their public relations energy into?
So the first thing is actually the writing and kind of actually strategizing. When we get back to and we use that as kind of the workhorse of PR is get what is it you want to get a strategy. Like, what is it that you want to talk about? So you are not all over the place. Number one, define what it is. Is it you want to just talk right now about a new product that's coming out in July for your company that you really want to focus on? Or is it because you're just starting a new company? So you really have to define exactly what the message is and be able to write that succinctly, so that you then, from that point, all the rest of those things are just vehicles for getting the word out there, whether it be a podcast, whether it be just a press release to the local business section of the Sun Sentinel, whether it be to some online publications, whether it be to some in-studio television because you want to showcase something. You have to define what your objectives and goals are. And then once you define that, you can write that will help direct, because then you'll know if it's a product, you need to be sending that to places that take new product, get a great picture of that product, maybe send a sample of that product to specific reporters that would want to be, or influencers that would want to be, want to know about it. So you have to first define what it is. From there, you can go in different tactics. If you've got a product, like I said, we do a lot of product samplings. So we've got someone coming out with, we've got a new snack company now. We're actually sending to influencers and media packets of the snack with a little note, like a little press release. Here, try that. We know you would love this thing, and kind of a whole press release on it with the product. So you can really that's the big thing, is so many people just don't know what to do, so they don't do anything.
Right.
Define and then get the tactics that would make sense. And it could be as simple as just going in and start small. Go in your local market, find out who the reporters are, go Google that would cover something like that, and then send them and start off where you get some success. And then, to your point, start to leverage it.
So we'll kind of end here. So when you work with a small business, what do you feel like their greatest needs are? So when they come to you, maybe they're a practitioner, maybe they're a restaurant owner who's got a couple locations. Like, what do you feel like their biggest need they have? What are their initial questions?
Yeah, the big thing is just thinking, like I said, you got to think small to get going, but just think big about what PR can do. It can change everything. I mean, you get a pickup if you've got a really unique story or something that you feel is different, and it's done in the right way with the right storytelling, with the right emphasis. It can be a game changer. Some companies have never done any advertising, strictly through PR, have literally put themselves on the map and become, national brands. So the potential is there. That's the exciting thing. And we've seen it. We see the power of PR. We see, I know personally how it can help. And it's one of those things where they just don't know where to begin. Like what we're saying, where do I start? And what you start is you sit down and go, just be very clear that we're not paying, most of the time we're not paying for any of these things that we're asking. So it has to be authentic, and you have to define what it is you want. And then let's write it up. Let's write what that is, and then figure out the unique angle and start to pitch. And just start.
Yes, I completely agree. And honestly, it's been, when I look at the early phases of my career and where I've come to today, it was all based on public relations because, I did have somebody I was working with, and it was just a dear friend of mine who happened to be more savvy in PR than I was. But I mean, we started with just little blogs. So she would find a local community blogger and say, hey, I want to introduce you to Debra. She's producing this television show on health and wellness, and she can write an article on how green smoothies can change your life. And it started there. And as soon as it built my confidence. So once you land because it's a little intimidating at first, like some people might think, why would they want to feature me? Or, why am I worthy of being an expert? But if you start at those lower kind of gateways and you get an article here and you get a little article here, and maybe you're speaking at the local chamber of commerce, all of a sudden your platform starts to get higher. And before you know it, you'll be on the Ellen Show.
You know what the key is, though, honestly, Debra, I think that the biggest thing that I've learned over the years is that passion and energy. When you come with passion and with energy, people have a heart. People are going to listen. And I mean, that is it sounds really simple, but it's so true. And think about your own experience. If someone comes with you and they're passionate, you might not agree, but the percentages are good for listening if someone's really got that energy. So if you're passionate about what you're doing and you believe in it, make sure that that's actually translated into everything you do, because that is the difference. People want to feel that you really believe in something,
Yeah, and if that critical voice kicks in and starts to, try to make you feel smaller, I think there's a bigger part of yourself that says, look, if I really believe in what I'm doing, it's worth the effort to try to share this with other people, because it's really about sharing your passion and your purpose with other people. So you have to have that courage to put yourself out there and not keep yourself small. But Tracy, this has been a beautiful and wonderful conversation, very informational. I love to learn from everybody that I talk to, and I hope at the same time everybody that's watching will also learn. So I think we accomplished that. So I know people can get in touch with you. So if you want to touch base with Tracy and her team directly, you can reach her at info@TilsonPR.com. And what type of services are you offering?
So we do a little bit of everything. We do straight up just media pitching. We do collaborations. We do charity alignments for clients. We'll do anything under the PR full service we do. And everything's tailored. I mean, every client is different. Everyone needs different things.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And again, thank you everybody for joining us today. You can reach me directly, Debra K @wellworld.tv. And again, at Well World TV, we are all about helping you up level, share your voice, share your brilliance in a bigger way, using video as a conduit to that, because together I believe we can create a well world. So find us on social media. We are at Well World TV. We tried to create consistency. So regardless of what platform you're on, it's at Well World TV. So subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook. And thanks again, everybody, for being here. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.